Okay, everybody, this is my 2015 Dodge Mega Cab. We're putting both front and back bumpers on it. We've got the whole front end torn off of this. We took the grill out just to give us better access. Had some tough bolts to get out. They were especially trying right down in this area right here by this cooler. Go ahead and point those out, Jax. Yeah, right in that area. Boy, those bolts that came through, they had to come out of this side and they hit this intercooler here. And what we ended up doing is taking the bracket off that's right back in there. Yeah, show that, Jack. Yeah, that was a tough bugger. And we had those on both sides. So the answer to that is if you go in from the back side, there's a bracket that is right here that I'm pointing to that holds the intercooler down low. There you go. And that bracket comes out of there. You can see it runs right down beside that cooler. And that will, if you fight with it long enough, you'll get those bolts out from the inside. So we're just about ready to start putting our move bumper back on the front here. And I'll shoot you a little video as we go along. Okay, everybody, just to pick up where we left off, give you an update on where we're at with this bumper. We did go ahead and we threw the grill back into this truck just so we could follow this lower line right here, make sure that we were going to be consistent all the way across from side to side. Our angle supports, the pieces that Move sent us, just went back onto those two bolts. You can see those right there. They bolted on the existing bolt holes. We used the old bolts, and then we brought it to the inside here, and we've just got to finish welding that up. We've got it tacked right now, and the other side is exactly the same way. Use the same bolts, each tacked up right there in the front. So it's a little bit of an optical illusion. Doesn't look like that's tight on the top, but it really is. And we're happy with the way things have gone. Just followed the Move instructions. We threw this wing piece on, came around, finished this piece on the end here. Again, we just kind of kept watching the visual of this line underneath the light there. Made sure that we liked that, made sure it was symmetrical on both sides, and then the last thing we did on each side was add this little filler piece right here. We're really happy with the way things have gone so far. Did the same on the driver's side here as well. One thing that we're kind of working through right now is we ordered a Move bumper before, and we've got it on the work truck that we currently have right now, and we had a couple of just the small little cube lights that went in the bumper. And one of the things that we're thinking about here, we do have a 30-inch light bar that's going in. We like that. One thing I haven't seen anywhere else online though is we're thinking about putting some lights in going vertically on this. Go with a little bit bigger light bar. Don't know exactly how that's going to go. Let me grab those in just a minute and I'll show you what we're talking about here. Hold on. Okay, so the lights that we're thinking about putting in here, they're about 7 or 8 inches long, 6.5 to 7 inches actually, and those are the lights that we're thinking about sticking in here. We've just kind of drawn, made some soapstone marks on the bumper here to see about where they would go. We've centered them up. One of the things that we're thinking about doing is following this, putting the back edge of the light on that line right here that follows all along the front. And the reason that we did that, the reason we're going with that is because it seems to match up pretty well with this space that we have right down here where I'm pointing to. So that space right there seems to be pretty consistent with this space that we've got right up here from that corner of the light on up. So we'll try to just fit them in that box area, come up with some brackets that we like. I'm not sure that we're going to do it yet. Again, that's kind of what the light looks like. We ordered both floodlights and spotlights for this, and we've got to come up with some type of bracket system. I did order this bumper from Move intentionally without any light holes in it because we wanted to see if we could do something a little bit different. I've never seen anybody run their lights vertically. Everything's been horizontal. We talked about putting them at an angle. We talked about putting them sideways. Unfortunately, if we put them sideways, there's such a distance right there going back in to recess this back into a hole there that we worried that it'd be kind of like a cave. And so by going vertically with this, we hope that we can keep the light out toward the front of the bumper and not lose it clear back in a little pocket. So haven't made up our mind 100% on what we're going to do there, but that's our thinking right now, and I'll give you an update as soon as we figure this out a little bit more. Okay, everybody, we just finished up our project on the move bumpers. We put both front and back on this truck. I've got a back bumper video. You can kind of get a side view of it there real quick. This video is going to be the completion of the front bumper, though. We put a new grill in the truck. It's a 2015 Dodge Mega Cab Laramie Edition. And, you know, as I mentioned before on this bumper, we ordered this bumper without any of the drive lights on, the fog lights, whatever you want to call them, driving lights. We did order it with the light bar, and it fit perfect in there. The drive lights were a real trick for us to figure out. We wanted those things to sit in here nice and straight. We wanted to go with as big a light as we could, and we ended up going with some 4x4 square lights, and we liked the look of them. They were really quite a trick to get stuck in here because the angles, even though the lights are only about 4 inches wide on the front here, when you look at them from this angle, because of the tilt of the bumper, they come back and they're quite a bit larger going that direction. So it just took a lot of time to fit that in, a lot of engineering work, I guess, a lot of math to figure out exactly what you need to do. Another thing that we did not want to do is on these bottom corners right down in this area, we didn't want to come too far down. We've seen some bumpers that come clear down, and it's kind of a big triangle shaped piece they do right in here. The reason that looks triangle is so when you look at it from the very front, it looks like straight up and down with this line right here. And so to achieve that, you have to come back like this and then back up into this area. And it's a tough thing to do, but we're really happy with these lights. They're symmetrical from side to side. I think it is an option. If I owned Move Bumper, I would make this one of the options because I think those are one of the best lights and one of the best looking turnouts that I've ever seen on a bumper. You can put the small cubes in there. The cubes are an awful lot smaller, and you know, I don't like them there as well. These put out a ton of light, and maybe that's an issue. I don't know what the legal requirements are. I'm in the state of Idaho, and I don't know if the lights that are in there, if they're legal or not. They're a 48 watt 4x4 light, and they put out a ton of light. The light bar is a 30-inch light. It puts out a ton of light. It's surprising. Last night we pulled the truck out and looked at it after we got the wiring and everything finished up, and I was surprised that the 4 cubes in my mind put out just about as much light as that 30-inch light bar. Maybe it's going to cause me grief legally down the road. I don't know, as far as, you know, people saying they're too bright. I don't want to get pulled over, and but at the same time, all of us like nice bright light. So we'll have to see, you know, what happens there. There is one thing that came up that I'll just show you briefly. You know, when we started this project, we jumped into it and started ordering parts and pieces, and one of the things that we ordered were these hooks. I really like the hooks. Ordered 2 of them. We're planning on putting those on the front of the truck, but we ran into one issue, and because we didn't have all the parts and pieces together when we started the truck, started this project, we didn't foresee this. Let me show you what this issue is. I wish I would have known ahead of time. I'll probably just end up turning around, and sorry about the camera movement here. But this is the issue that we ran into with our hooks. I really wanted to put these on here, but you can see we put the heavy duty bumper on, and it's just not quite going to fit on there. If I would have had these ahead of time, I could have seen that we needed to grind that out just a little bit to make these hooks work. I'm probably 3/8 of an inch on the bottom there. These hooks are totally just for the look. I've got them on one other pickup that we did, and it did not have the heavy duty bumper put on it, and so the hooks work just fine. But on this one with the heavy duty bumper, I wish we would have known that ahead of time. But again, you know, we ordered the bumpers, we ordered one light bar, that 30-inch light bar. It was in the mail to us at the same time the bumper was in the mail to us. We ordered some different lights that we were going to stick on here for the driving lights, and ended up going with the square cubes. that are 4x4 instead of the 2x3s or whatever the smaller ones are. And so we really didn't have all the parts and pieces here when we're ready to send this down to get Line-X'd. So something to keep in mind, we could put some shackles on there or do something like that. But all in all, really like the Move bumper. I think they're a quality bumper. That is one heavy bumper. I think the heavy duty ones are made out of a thicker metal, and it is definitely a stout bumper, something I'd feel comfortable pulling with if I needed to. I don't want to screw up my Line-X lining. The people at Line-X, they did a great job. Even though my truck's filthy, it's been sitting inside and it needs washed. They came out and got the paint code right off the door, and I think as soon as I wash my truck up, it's going to be a great color match for my truck. I like the Line-X product a lot. We've used it before in the past, and just have a few more things that we're going to do on this truck. We're going to darken the mirrors and the door handles. I think we'll do that much, maybe the lights. Thought about swapping out the running boards to more of a step instead of a long board. So anyway, I'd like to thank the people at Move for all the help they've been. I think they do a great job. I'd recommend the Move bumpers to anybody that has a little bit of welding talent and skill, and don't be afraid to kind of customize them a little bit on your own. I think you'd be happy with it. Take your time in your grinding and your cleanup, because that's going to make or break the bumper. I think once you get them Line-X'd and powder coated or painted, you'll see all the flaws that you didn't take the time to fix ahead of time. So anyway, I appreciate the folks at Move, and this is a fun project to do with my boys. Mitch, why don't you go ahead and start that up, and let me move these off the bumper real quick. Why don't you go ahead and start that up? Okay, there's our... Look, I don't know why you got the reflection of the light bar and those cubes, but they show up on my video, but I don't see them with my natural eye. Why don't you turn the light bar off? Okay, turn the cubes off and the light bar only. Okay. Two different looks for you. Okay, there you go. Thanks, everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. My name's Dave, 208-589-1133. Thank you.